Hello, Quentin. Before we talk about algorithms and efficiency, forget you are an AI expert for just a second. If you had to bet your life savings today on a single business that use zero technology, not a single bit, what industry would you trust and why?
I think I would have to go for agriculture, um, because you are more dependent on the weather than you are dependent on anything else. Technology is a facilitator, but if the weather is not there, you're not going to get the crops. You're not going to get the things that you want to sell. And to be honest, when I check my Google weather, it's wrong 95% of the times these days. So, I think that it would be the one that I would choose.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Maybe, well, 90% technology off, maybe, or something like that.
Well, yeah, the industrial revolution has shown that you could do a lot more by having some level of technology, like you have the tractors and all of that. It's technology.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more about AI technology as opposed to technology as a whole, because,
Oh,
I think like nowadays, if you think about technology as a whole, there is no industry that is not leveraging in one form or another technology, be it manufacturing, being any other form of technology. So I was thinking more AI here as opposed to other type of technology.
oh, yeah. And as you said, even food industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are getting into AI too. So I love your answer. So it shows that before the tech, it's all about the business logic, right?
Welcome to AI to the Sky, the global podcast on artificial intelligence, automation, and the future of business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Quentin, let's get real. The market is flooded with prompt experts, but they are a very few solution architects. Today we are joined by Quentin Reul. He isn't here to sell us the future. He's here to tell us why the present of many companies is a mess of POCs, proof of concept, that don't scale. Quentin is the director of strategy at expert.ai and one of the few people globally capable of connecting symbolic logic with LLMs to create systems that don't hallucinate. If you're looking for theory, this isn't your podcast at all. If you are looking for a structural advantage, Quentin is the man. Hi, Quentin. So tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I have had quite a journey. Uh, I'm originally from Belgium. Moved to the UK when I was 18, like to learn AI back when it was not cool in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
That was supposed to last a year, and I stayed 10 years, did my undergrad and my postgrad in symbolic AI, actually. Stayed
Oh.
in academia for a while. Didn't like the way that academia was working for me, so I moved to the dark side or the enterprise. And I've been working on the enterprise for 15 years now, and now based in the US. So, I've gone across the world and try like to
Yes.
to use my skills in different countries.
Oh, wow. That's pretty tough. But and you are on this business that is AI, so for pretty long time ago, right?
Yeah, 25 plus years now. So yeah. Back when I was at college, all we were speaking about was really uh expert systems or role-based systems. Machine learning was not really there, and deep learning or neural networks were not even like discussed. I remember going like to Edinburgh University and their AI lab back in 1999, and you had walls full of computers that were doing like single digit computation, whereas
Hmm.
nowadays like you run an LLM on your own machine. So the compute and the capabilities that we have had over that period of time and the changes has been enormous. Though I would say on the last point that having been there for 25 years in the field, I have never seen AI move as fast as it has since ChatGPT in November 22nd, like 22. It really has changed at a speed that every day pretty much a new model is available, a new announcement is, and it's really difficult to keep track of where people are going. And you mentioned enterprise and how enterprise are failing and looking at POCs. I think like one of the problem is that all of them or most of them are chasing that shiny new object, that shiny new model. Can I do something better with that model? When really, and then trying like to find a problem that would leverage that model instead of looking at it from the perspective of, well, I have a problem. How can I use technology? And in some cases, just having a role-based system may be sufficient. Imagine you're trying like to extract citation from a document. If it's a legal document, a regular expression may be sufficient to extract the information. You don't need like to have an LLM, which is still expensive to operate, to do that for you. So I think that that's where a lot of companies have kind of struggle, is that they are looking at technology for the sake of technology, but not really looking at it from the perspective of the problem that they're trying to solve.
Yes, you're right. And I implement AI and automation too. And I don't know if you agree with this sentence that I hear like I don't know 2 or 3 days ago, that it was saying that AI, you don't use AI for save money or for earn more money. You use AI to leverage actually your people that they are in a business. Do you agree or?
Um, I think like I would put some caveat to that. I was reading an article earlier in the week, and what they were alluding to is that when you're automating certain activities and tasks like writing emails or recording meeting and transcribing meetings that you can access, what is actually happening? Do you have less meeting, less emails? No, you actually have more meetings, more emails, because it's faster and easier to create. So yes, we have somewhat optimized like the user, but I think where we are failing is rethinking what is the process that people are going through and how you like can leverage technology to make them actually do things. So if I look at a lot of automation, what we are automating is a current process. It is not so it's the as is process. People are not really looking at it from the perspective of what my process could be if I was leveraging technology in a way that would maybe remove steps that were necessary manually, but you automate it and now it's no longer necessary.
So, Quentin, many CEOs think implementing AI means buying, I don't know, Copilot license or ChatGPT license. From your trenches, what is the fundamental difference between a company that uses AI and a company that is AI native?
Well, I think it goes back to what I was just saying. A company using AI does it like in different ways. Like you mentioned, Copilot, they're trying like to help their employees to be a bit more efficient. But they, even when they are saying like you should use AI all the time, all right, there is not really an incentive, or there is not really a well-defined reason why to use AI. It's just like use AI for the sake of AI. Whereas I think an AI native company, think about like the problem and think about the processes and think about how can I leverage AI to modify my process and optimize my employees and optimize the way that I'm operating on a day-to-day perspective. It's a bit like, back in the days, like I'm a child of the 80s. We didn't have anything digital. You were reading a book, it has to be a book. And then you are digital native and they were doing everything digital. I think it's close to 15 years ago now that you had a video on YouTube that went crazy where you had a child on an iPad and she was turning the page on the iPad of the magazine, and it was working fine. But then she was trying, like, the dad like put a magazine in front of her, and she didn't know what to do with it because she didn't have that contact. And I think that that's, we see a similar type of difference between the AI native companies and those that are just using it because they need to catch up with their competitors, for example.
So, Quentin, you advocate for neuro-symbolic AI. In
Mm-hmm.
business terms, why is trusting your company core to a probabilistic model a financial negligence if you don't put a logic referee behind it?
Well, yeah, like, if you think about the LLM, yes,
Mhm.
you're right, they're probabilistic, but they're probabilistic in suggesting and predicting what the next token is going to be. So, and it's a pleasing algorithm. I tend like to compare it like to surveys. I don't know if you do a lot of surveys, but if in a survey you write a question in a way that it's leading to have a particular answer, it's going like to give you the answer that you expect. In the same way that if you ask a question to the LLM, and I won't going like to be quite absurd, but let's say I love X, should I marry X? Well, given like these information together and the information that is on the net, what is likely to come up is yes. You kind of let it, the
Yeah.
LLM, to answer that question. Now, that's one of the issues. Now, the other issue is like you have a knowledge cutoff point. So if you look at most of the LLMs, the data that they're using to training them tend like to be 6 to 18 months in arrear. So for the GPT-5 family, I believe that the knowledge cutoff point, so the point at which they take a snapshot of the data on the web, was August 2025. I was recently interacting with someone on LinkedIn, and they were saying, "Oh, this person just died," and I asked the LLM to say something about it, and they said, "Oh no, this person is still alive." I was like, "Well, yeah, because at the time at which the data existed or was taken from the web, that person was still alive." And certain models have more guardrails than others, and they don't want like to give you false information. And then in that case, it kind of like went there. So that's problem number 2. Problem number 3 is that you don't have a knowledge base. So let's imagine you have 2 companies. You have Acme, it's a construction company in Illinois, and Acme is a bakery in Maryland. They have the same name. You think about the financial reports. So financial reports is information about what you have spent, what you have earned, that type of information.
Yeah.
You put that into an LLM and you say, provide me information about Acme. Well, what is going to be happening is that because you are representing the information in a abstract or embeddings, to be a bit technical, when you look at the information, because they're both mentioned in financial report, it's very likely that what you're going to get, it's an aggregation of the information about both companies. Now, introduce like the symbolic aspect of it. If you know that the Acme was a construction company and it was in Illinois, the financial report was coming from Illinois. And on the other end, you have the bakery based in Maryland, and the filing was in Maryland. Now, as you are writing the information, you are able to separate the two because you have the context that one was based in a particular location and the other one. So now you can make sure that the information that is going to be returned is only about one or the other, but not an aggregation of both.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Great point of view. So, Quentin, in my AI native organization model, you talk about organizational compression. You talk about agentic workflows, right? Do you think we are close to the point where a 5-person team with the right architecture can generate the same revenue as, I don't know, maybe 50-person company?
It depends on the mindset. I don't think that it's a technology problem. I think it's a mindset problem. in as much as what I've seen in practice is that you have companies that are willing to leverage technology to augment themselves. And they have built the company on the 5 people that have combinatory skills. And in that case, you can augment by using like the agentic. So let's imagine you have someone that is a marketer. You have someone from marketing, you have someone from different aspect and function within your organization. While in marketing, you can leverage the LLM to create content. You can create, like, reuse your content using agent. You can use agent that will generate videos and that type of things that would have cost a lot of money to do like manually. So I think that that's more that perspective of the mindset that you need to have to be an AI native and seeing where you can actually augment yourself. I think that the companies that are going like to say, oh, I'm going like to use AI for the sake of using AI to try to augment themselves, but not having an idea of how the technology or an understanding of how the technology really fits and augments them, they will fail. But the one that understand where the technology can augment them, make them better, make them more efficient, those are going like to succeed.
Oh, okay. So mindset. Great. Okay, Quentin, let's talk about money. The Lian AI framework sounds great on a slide, but how do you decide which process to automate first when everything in the company, I don't know, maybe seems broken?
Well, I think you should always, like, if you're a company, you are selling something. And what are you selling? Are you selling services? Are you selling your expertise? Are you selling a software? If you are selling a software, or even if you're selling a service, at the end of the day, you are meeting a pain point for your customer. Unless you understand that customer pain point, you are not really going like to create solutions that are going to go to the market, or they're not going to be successful. So one of the things that I've been practicing over the years is the notion or the framework of jobs to be done. It's essentially saying, when I do this for this outcome. And that's a way that when you're speaking to a customer, they can express what they're actually working on and what their intent is. Now, from there, you have actually thought about the problem, and now you can elucidate what are the different approaches and what are the different things that goes around it. So it's not about optimizing for the sake of optimizing. Again, it's really more understanding what is the value that you're providing. And sometimes you may want like to fill the end-to-end process. And in some cases, like it's only one part of the process that is broken, and then you need to automate because everything else needs like to be to still be manual in some ways.
See governance as a break. You see it as a speed, right? So can you explain to entrepreneurs how compliance can be their greatest competitive advantage against slow giants?
Yeah, I think like there are, you know, it's a very difficult question because like you have many different aspects to governance. Obviously, you know, in the US, some have been arguing that governance and regulation impedes like speed at which things are working. And to be honest, I have seen it in some places like in Europe, where sometimes governance or over fear of regulation makes that it's slower than what it is or what it should be. But on the other hand, governance, especially with data governance, is core to enable you to really be AI native. I don't know if you remember the the 2018, 19, where everything that we were speaking about was big data. Everyone wanted like to go to data warehouse, and everyone had a project. We had a migration project, like spending millions and millions of dollars of creating a new place where we're going like to put all of this information, or data lake. And really what it ended up doing was creating a data swamp. And the reason why it created a data swamp is because there was no data governance. People were just creating the data for the sake of it, converting it in a way that would fit in the data warehouse, forgot all about the raw data that they'd used in the first place. And now came like the AI technology in 2022, 2023, and even slightly beyond before that. But the problem was that with all of the data being stored in the data warehouse, it was garbage in. So what happened when you give like garbage in like to a machine learning model or an LLM or anything, you get garbage out.
Garbage out, yeah.
Or what you needed to do is forget everything that you had in the data warehouse and restart everything from scratch. So now you had wasted like 2 years of investment on something that really didn't work. And the reason why, because people were looking at it from the technology perspective, they didn't have any data governance in a process that would have kept that raw data that was necessary to be able to adapt to new use cases, to be able like to adapt like to new technology. And I'd like really transformed it in a way that was optimized for the technology, be it Glacier, be it like any other data warehouse that they were using as a tool, but not really for the business case that they may be seeing like moving forward.
So Quentin, the no bullshit question. Quentin, imagine LLMs are banned worldwide tomorrow. What part of your innovation strategy would survive and why?
I think like all of it would survive. And all of it would survive mostly because it's focused on the user and it's not focused on the technology. So it's about learning what you really want to deliver to your customer. And then, you know, in my framework, I have a design phase. And what I show to people when I present that is I show the symbolic AI, I show the machine learning, and I show like the neural network and the LLMs, you know, that type of things. And I really highlight what are the different technology good for. So if you take like symbolic AI, it is great at explainability. It's going like to give you an answer, and it's always going to be repeatable. Now, the problem with it is that when you see something that or when you get something that you have never seen before, it's very brittle, it's inflexible. Now comes machine learning. While machine learning, it's expensive like to create data, but once you have created a model, you're going like to have that adaptability to new things. And you still have explainability because you know from the data, you can do like a confidence score, you can do all of that. Now it comes to the LLM. Well, the LLM are great if you are a content creator, if you are a marketing person and you want to create something new. Well, when you are in an enterprise level, it is not that great. Why? Well, for the 3 reasons that I mentioned earlier, but also because it's a black box. You don't know what you're going like to get. And the problem is compounded somewhat by, even though you have many open source models, taking Llama and others, the data that was used to create these models is not shared. It's proprietary or it's not communicated to anyone, which means that it's still a black box. Like I know about like 5 models where the weights, the data models, like the training data, the prep and all of that have really been communicated to people. And from an enterprise perspective, you are not looking at artificial generic intelligence. You have a very narrow problem that you're trying to solve for your customers. So when you have OpenAI and Anthropic creating all of these models, it's great for B2C, you know, for customers. It's great for us. We can be more optimal. But for an enterprise, it's not that great. And like more recently, I think it was the Anthropic CEO or the Google CEO said, you know, all of these wrappers that have been created over the past 2 years or 3 years, they're all going to disappear. And that is because, you know, the model are going like to get better, but also there is a realization that it's the proprietary data that the enterprise have that is going like to give them that unfair advantage as opposed to the LLM.
Yes. Interesting. Interesting. So, Quentin, the last question, and I think it's from your perspective. How do you see us in 2030?
Most of the same, I would say. You know, probably what I'm seeing now, and it's something that I was expecting actually to be much faster, but I think like the biggest change that I foresee is the way that we are going to interact with systems. So we went like from, you know, highly computing, coding and all of that to now using natural language in a better way to be able like to do things. I still see that the voice interaction is still lagging behind. But I think like the newer generation, I see my kids. So I have a Google Assistant in pretty much every room around my house. My kids are better at using them than me. Like they don't ask me questions. They go like to Google, they go to Alexa. And I think that that's, you know, with that generation being more and more using these technology, I think there will be that shift of using more of a language or voice interface as opposed to a writing interface, which is what we are using still today, even though we're using all of this technology.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, Quentin, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your perspective and for telling us that well, everything is going to, I don't know, maybe be better or worse, depend on us. Depends on how do we adopt this kind of AI disrupting technology, right?
Yeah, you know, it's I like the analogy of the gun. Is it the gun killing person, or is it the person using the gun that kills a person? It's the same with AI. You know, you can use any type of technology to do good, or you can use the technology to do bad. Who is responsible for the bad or the good? Is it the technology or the people using it? And I think that in a lot of cases, it's the people using it. So where you don't have a lot of regulation and you are relying on people being ethical, I think that's where the risk is in a lot of in a lot of cases, because people, especially in a you know, where money is important, they will make decision in some cases like to make more money without that being totally ethical. And I have seen many use cases over the years of people using AI in an unethical way just because they could. But you know, as a society, it is up to us to say what is AI good for, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And I think that that is still morphing, and there is not really a consensus. You know, you have the AI EU Act, obviously, like in Europe. In the US, we don't really have anything. And in a lot of other countries, like there is a gap as well there. So, you know, to be seen.
Yes, yes, you're right. So thank you so much, Quentin, for being here. Please, if you can tell us, our audience, where they can reach to you.
Yeah, so I am on most major social media. I have a YouTube channel. I am on LinkedIn. I have a Medium blog, Blue Sky. I try to avoid X, but it's not always feasible. So yeah, like just please reach to me. And Joseph, it was great speaking to you today, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Quentin. And for all the persons that are seeing us, please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Thank you so much.